Chapter 826, New Tao Marks, Deeper Foundation. Fang Yuan had also placed starlight fireflies in Tai by Yun Sheng's immortal aperture. He had also moved a portion of the star fragment grass in. Now that they had been merged together once again, they recovered their original scale. The poisonous blood from the blood poison carrier flowers had only contaminated the ground. It had not caused the slightest harm to the star fragment grass in the sky. Dragonscale Lake and Jade Root Lake were placed opposite each other at a distance. Many small lakes were dug up between the two large lakes, as well as in the surroundings, like they were stars in the sky surrounding a moon each. These small lakes and pools did not use any special soils. Dragonscale soil and Jade Root soil were goo refinement materials. Although they were not immortal materials, but with such great quantity, enough to construct two large lakes, Fang Yuan had spent quite a sum. Some remaining water wolves and shark fin wolves lived in these small lakes. The shark fin wolf desolate beast that Fang Yuan had subdued also moved around here, eating the fish in these small lakes when it was hungry. There were large numbers of blue jade carps in the pools and lakes. These blue jade carps could remain alive stubbornly in harsh conditions. Even the poisonous blood could not kill them. Instead, it caused a portion of them to undergo a mutation, becoming blood jade carps. The price of these blood jade carps was several times that of blue jade carps that I in the western part of Hu immortal blessed land. Fang Yuan had followed a set pattern, digging soil, arranging goo formations, and using charcoal stones to construct a large lake. However, this lake did not have even a drop of water. On the contrary, hot air rose with the charcoal stones covering the lake bed. When wind blew, the black-gray charcoal stones shone with a red light. Fang Yuan named this lake Charcoal Lake. It was the second-best breeding ground for eerie fire dragon pythons. The optimal method was used in Dongfang tribe's headquarters, the arrangement in Jade Pool, Blessed Land. Fang Yuan knew this optimal method from Dongfang Chongfan's soul. It could be said that he was extremely clear of the arrangement, but it was a pity that Fang Yuan's wealth could not support it. In particular, the amount of money required at the earlier stages was too high. Fang Yuan considered it carefully and chose to use the second-best method of charcoal stones to construct the nest for the eerie fire dragon pythons. He placed all the eerie fire dragon pythons inside and let them develop. Fang Yuan moved away, and at every set distance, he dug a small lake. He did not use any special soils, and after setting up simple goo formations, he poured all the poisonous blood taken into his immortal aperture into them. Under the effect of isolation from the goo formations, these lakes of poisonous blood would only seep out a little every year, contaminating the surrounding soil in the entire western part of Hu immortal blessed land. Fang Yuan dug hundreds of small blood lakes. Why did Fang Yuan do so? This related to the connection between heavenly tribulations or earthly calamities and the blessed land. Good fortune is hidden within bad. Bad fortune lurks within good. The deeper the blessed land's foundation, the greater the fortune, and the stronger the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity, and the more they would target such fortune. For instance, the previous earthly calamity of Hu immortal blessed land, a desolate beast swamp crab carrying gruel mud immortal goo, was targeted. At the most valuable part of Hu immortal blessed land, Dang Hun Mountain. The result was that Dang Hun Mountain gradually started turning into a pile of gruel mud. It was barely rescued by Fang Yuan from its death. Heaven was fair and paid attention to balance. If you had a special superiority in one aspect and attracted heaven's envy, the heavenly tribulation or earthly calamity would weaken you. Naturally, there were too many types of tribulations and calamities. This rule was not absolute, and one could only say that the probability was high. This was the embodiment of bad fortune lurks within good. After the swamp crab earthly calamity, Hu immortal blessed land had, in fact, gained large amounts of enslavement path Tao marks, as well as small amounts of earth path Tao marks. The higher the enslavement path Tao marks, the easier it was to control the living beings raised in the blessed land, and the higher their reproduction. Rockmen, hairy men, fox groups, wolf groups, fish groups, and so on were among this list. This was the most superior aspect of Hu immortal blessed land. After all, the original owner, Hu immortal, was an enslavement path Gu immortal. Among the Tao marks increased after every tribulation and calamity, The highest quantity would be in enslavement path Dao marks. Besides enslavement path, there were a small number of earth path Dao marks. These Dao marks could increase the fertility of the soil in Hu immortal blessed land. The ground would become more firm and could absorb even more earth qi and support Dang Hun Mountain. These Dao marks could not be inspected with ordinary methods. They merged into Hu immortal blessed land and comprehensively were built into this small world, making it more outstanding. And this was the embodiment of good fortune lies within bad. Heaven and earth targeted Dang Hun Mountain, creating the swamp crab earthly calamity. But after the tribulation, Hu immortal blessed land had obtained benefits. The earth path Dao marks increased, which instead caused the mountain to be better suited for the blessed land. And this earthly calamity was blood poison carrier flowers. Fang Yuan inwardly guessed that this was probably sent by heaven and earth in relation to his blood path grandmaster attainment level. After getting past this calamity, Hu immortal blessed land once again gained a large amount of Dao marks. Enslavement path Dao marks were still the highest in quantity, further enhancing Hu immortal blessed land's specialty. At the same time, there was also many blood path Dao marks. The appearance of the blood path Dao marks undoubtedly changed Hu immortal blessed land. The mutation of blue jade carps into blood jade carps was only one manifestation of this. After Fang Yuan spent a lot of effort and energy to remove the top layer of soil in Hu immortal blessed land, the layer of soil exposed below already had large quantities of tender grass and exquisite flower buds growing. The grass was called blood sickle grass, and after completely maturing, the stalks would be bent like sickles, broad and with edges as sharp as a knife, and the flowers were called red axe flowers. The petals were like axe blades. They were white but gave off a hint of red light. Regarding both blood sickle grass and red axe flowers, they were excellent gu refinement materials. Although not immortal materials, they could be used to refine rank 3 mortal gu. Once the blood sickle grass and red axe flowers that were all over Hu immortal blessed land matured, they would be in astonishing quantity and act as a good source of wealth. And this wealth was actually given by the last earthly calamity to Hu immortal blessed land. In fact, there were many kinds of grass and flowers grown in Hu immortal blessed land previously, like blue degree grass, which was both blue and poisonous, water chestnut grass, which were shaped like chestnuts, 6 divine grass, which looked like 6 thin leaves with the feeling of jade, and also the 7 treasure flower, which was in 7 colors, and the cup-shaped milk tea flower, filled with nectar that was like milk tea. However, these flowers and grasses could at most be used to refine rank 1 and rank 2 mortal gu. Their value was far lower than blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. The poisonous blood had seeped into the soil, changing a portion of the root systems and seeds of these flowers and grasses into the seeds of blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. The key point was that the addition of blood path Dao marks remodeled Hu immortal blessed land's environment, which created the foundation for blood sickle grass and red axe flowers to grow. Rank 6 gu immortals experience an earthly calamity every 10 years, and a heavenly tribulation every 100 years. After 300 years, facing a total of 30 earthly calamities and 3 heavenly tribulations, they could advance to a rank 7 gu immortal. Earthly calamities were weaker than heavenly tribulations. Every calamity and tribulation was a difficult test from heaven. They were filled with dangers, but also filled with opportunities. The newly added Dao marks would reform the world of the blessed land to produce even more valuable resources. These resources provided the supplies required for the gu immortals to cultivate. In the beginning, Hu immortal could only plant large numbers of ordinary grasses and flowers in the blessed land. At that time, the soil was weak. There was no water and no wind. Blue degree grass and chestnut grass would not be able to survive in this environment. After several earthly calamities, the flowers and grasses withered and died out several times. Hu immortals suffered great losses, but got new additions of wood path Dao marks and earth path Dao marks. Because of the fire calamity, the blessed land gained fire path Dao marks. Through the water calamity, there were water path Dao marks. With these Dao marks, Hu immortal blessed land's environment was remodeled. Hu immortal could then plant blue degree grass, chestnut grass, 6 divine grass, milk tea flowers, and so on. Although blessed lands were able to improve greatly with these opportunities, every earthly calamity would cause losses which would test the Gu Immortal's management ability. Gu Immortal weakened time and time again. Her strength constantly fell, and while facing the fifth earthly calamity, she died at the hands of the Blue Charm Lightning Shadow. After Fang Yuan inherited the blessed land, he was barely able to pass the sixth calamity, the Desolate Beast Swamp Crab calamity. Now, Gu Immortal Blessed Land had already passed 7 earthly calamities. With this last earthly calamity, Gu Immortal Blessed Land gained blood path Dao marks, producing a living environment for blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. Experienced farmers knew what to plant in particular kinds of soil to get the best harvest. Fang Yuan managed the blessed land in accordance with the conditions, developing the strong points and avoiding the weak points. He did not let Tai Bai Yun Sheng use landscape as before, instead digging the poisonous blood lakes for this reason. In fact, it is not only these flowers and grass. With these blood path Dao marks, I can raise blood-striped foxes. The blood-striped fox's reproduction rate is higher than any of the fox groups raised in Gu Immortal Blessed Land earlier. The annual yield would be even greater, and if I buy some knowledge and experiences in raising blood-striped foxes, with some good luck, I might be able to turn them into a small source of income. However, blood-striped foxes were partway up the food chain. Fang Yuan would have to bring in some blood-striped rabbits to feed them. Then what would blood-striped rabbits eat? It would be blood sickle grass. Thus, Fang Yuan put in great effort to dig so many poisonous blood lakes. It was to use this poisonous blood as nutrition. Under the control of the Gu formations, they would seep into the soil and constantly nourish the growth of blood sickle grass and red axe flowers. To provide beneficial competition for the blood-striped foxes. Fang Yuan also planned to buy some poison-beard wolves. Previously, Gu Immortal Blessed Land was not suitable for the growth of these poison-beard wolves. But with the contamination of poisonous blood now, Fang Yuan could raise some poison-beard wolves. There was no need for a lot of poison-beard wolves. He only required a small number of them to form a catfish effect with the blood-striped foxes. Fang Yuan was very busy. It was as if he was running around to and fro. Time flies quickly when one was busy. Almost in an instant, over half a month had passed by in Gu Immortal Blessed Land. Fang Yuan's project of remodeling Gu Immortal Blessed Land finally came to an end. Hu Immortal Blessed Land was changed beyond recognition. In the eastern part, Dragonscale Lake and Jade Root Lake mutually enhanced each other's beauty, with many small lakes and pools in the surroundings. The lakes contained dragonfish, air bubble fish, blood jade carps, and blue jade carps. Beside the lakes were some numbers of shark fin wolves, water wolves, and earth skin pigs. In the western part, the number of lakes had increased sharply, surpassing the eastern part. The center of the western part was fully occupied by the charcoal lake. Every set interval of distance was a small poisonous blood lake. Hundreds of blood lakes were evenly spread over the western part. Looking from a bird's eye view, it was a magnificent spectacle. Not long later, there would be fields of blood sickle grass and seas of red axe flowers here. There were small quantities of blood-striped rabbits, poison-beard wolves, and blood-striped foxes living here. But blood-striped foxes were being constantly drawn in from the outside world, and their numbers were increasing day by day. Something that was worth mentioning was the Desolate Beast Giant Horned Sheep. It was also placed here to prevent the Desolate Beast Shark Fin Wolf in the eastern part from hunting it. Chapter 8:27 Fang Zheng Wakes Up. In the southern part of Gu Immortal Blessed Land, a small portion of rockmen were still hibernating underground. Because large numbers of blood poison carrier flowers had spawned and died in their tunnels, the underground homes of these rockmen would produce bloodstone ores after tens of years. The underground cave that hid Wisdom Gu was, however, restored with landscape as before. The Ji forest was looking weak, but it did not need to be cured and could dispel the poison on its own. There was even a certain chance of producing a blood Ji forest. The northern part of the Blessed Land, where the terrain was narrow and the area smaller, was set up as a breeding ground for regretful spiders. In the center of the Blessed Land was Danghun Mountain. Dongfang Chang Fan Soul was locked up in Danghun Palace, along with the remaining dozens of Dongfang tribesmen. Large numbers of immortal materials were placed in storerooms. 5,000 kilograms of oil water, The giant dead egg of the worldly sand gull and large numbers of airsac goo were also kept in stock. Near Danghun Mountain were the 3 Fang Yuan stone nests, where many hairy man slaves lived and refined goo without stopping. As for the small batch of mirror willows, they were already dead. The beggar moths which ate mirror willow leaves as food no longer had any use, and were sold off. By now, the 3 large-scale resource points, eerie fire dragon pythons, regretful spiders, and dragonfish, were truly established. Instead of just storing them like before, this development ensured that the 3 resource points could grow and multiply in numbers and be sold for profit. However, at present, these 3 resources points were still being built up in scale and could not be put into the market immediately. There were also large numbers of airsac goo in Danghun Palace's storage. But Fang Yuan could not put them in the market all at once and make huge profits, with Immortal Crane sect still eyeing who Immortal blessed land. The less attention it received, the better. Selling them slowly could decrease the risks and allow the profits to come steadily. The second day after who Immortal blessed land was restored, Tai Bai Yunsheng bade his farewell to Fang Yuan. He had put in a lot of effort during this time period. Without his help, Fang Yuan would require half a month longer to complete such a large project. He had not only spent a lot of effort, but also lent some Immortal Essence Stones to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan did not have much Immortal Essence Stones, and he lacked capital during the initial investment of the renovation. Tai Bai Yunsheng gave him some Immortal Essence Stones to make up for this shortage. Speaking of which, among the 4 who signed the Snowy Mountain Alliance, Tai Bai Yunsheng was the richest at present. He had made good progress in Eastern Sea, importing large numbers of resources into his Immortal Aperture, which caused his Immortal Aperture's foundation to be unable to keep up. The Earth Chi became lacking in quantity, and there was instability. Just now, Tai Bai Yunsheng returned to who Immortal blessed land not only to help Fang Yuan, but also for another purpose, to return to Northern Plains, place his blessed land down, absorb Earth Chi, and also face the earthly calamity. However, it was not yet the time for the earthly calamity to appear, and absorbing Earth Chi also required some time. When the earthly calamity struck, Fang Yuan would also have to help Tai Bai Yunsheng. Tai Bai Yunsheng left who Immortal blessed land. He Lu Lan, however, remained behind. Soon, Fang Yuan also left who Immortal blessed land to go to Central Continent. It was because Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was about to start. Central Continent, Feihe Mountain, Immortal Crane sect. Clouds and fog lingered around this floating mountain, with cranes flying in between the pine forests. In an underground secret room in Immortal Crane sect, it was damp and dark, and the walls were covered in moss. Besides a stone bed in the room, there was no other furniture on the stone bed. A Yungu master was lying down. His face was pale as paper, but there were no injuries on his body. As if he was in a coma. It was Guyu Fangzheng, that a goo worm lied motionless on Fangzheng's chest. Suddenly, a faint light flashed in the stone room, before a goo immortal appeared. His wide sleeves were swaying. He looked like a young man with a handsome appearance. Most eye-catching of all were his eyebrows. They were green and long, reaching down to his waist. Under the eyebrows, his gaze was dark and eerie. Lord He Feng Yang. The goo worm lying on Fang Zhang's chest immediately moved its wings and flew up, excitedly greeting the newcomer. This goo worm was the spirit incubating flea that contained Lord Sky Crane's soul. Lord, please heal Fang Zhang's soul. Please awaken my disciple. Lord Sky Crane implored. Sky Crane, is your decision still this? He Feng Yang sighed, feeling somewhat disappointed. Why did he want Lord Sky Crane to revive using possession? It was because Lord Sky Crane was originally his subordinate and had handled many matters for him. His background and origin was clear, and he was quite capable himself. On the contrary, Guyu Fangzheng was too young and had been forced to sacrifice himself. If he happened to hold a grievance against Immortal Crane sect, that would not be a pleasing scenario. Sky Crane, do you know that the possession technique our Immortal Crane sect obtained now can be considered perfect and is extremely outstanding? If you had done possession previously, perhaps the body and soul would not match and leave behind side effects. But with this possession technique, it will be like you were born that way. The body and soul would blend together and match each other. There is not even a slight amount of shortcomings. This is your luck. You can be reborn and regain the glory you once had. Heaven is bestowing you with this opportunity. Why do you not want to take it? Feng Yuan persuaded. Lord, the spirit incubating flea flapped its wings and said in a quiet voice, "Please forgive me for being obstinate. Fang Zheng, he is my disciple. He resembles my past self, and this future belongs to him. If I possess him, I won't be able to face myself, to face my inner feelings. Please think of the many years of my servitude to you, and help me, Lord." Feng Yuan was starting to get angry. Nothing was going like he wanted recently. To save the 9 palace crane, little Jiao, he had requested help from various people and spent large amounts of wealth, but it still was not showing much effect. Now, even his former subordinate was acting willfully and disregarding his persuasion. Everything was going wrong. This possession technique was powerful, but it had a condition. It could not be used rashly, and it was best to let the soul be in contact with the possession target's body for a long period of time before this technique was used. Lord Sky Crane had intended to possess Fang Zheng, thus had placed the spirit incubating flea in Fang Zheng's aperture. So much time had passed already. The condition for possession was already fulfilled, but Lord Sky Crane had now changed his decision. This also meant that if Lord Sky Crane wanted to possess others, he would not be able to do so in a short period of time. His soul would need to be in contact with the body of the possession target for a long time. As for Dongfang Changfan possessing Dongfang Yuliang, he had secretly stored a part of his soul in Dongfang Yuliang's body. His methods were so ingenious that Dongfang Yuliang had not sensed anything wrong, that Feng Yuan was not feeling good these days. He was feeling frustrated and agitated, and wanted to berate Lord Sky Crane. But in the end, he did not speak out the words in his thoughts, because he could not help but associate his own situation with Lord Sky Crane's. Wasn't he also like Lord Sky Crane earlier? To save little Jiao, he was determined to follow his own way, and was even willing to sacrifice himself. Back then, when he was facing the hopeless situation, if not for Immortal Crane Sect's third Supreme Elder, Lord Tiger Demon, helping him, there would not be Feng Yuan in the present. Feng Yuan heaved a deep sigh. All right. Since you are determined to do this, I, Feng Yuan, shall help you. This is the compensation for all the work you have done me. If later, you want to undergo possession and request me to help, it won't be free. Feng Yuan then waved his large sleeve, brushing it past Guyu Fang Zheng's face. After this movement finished, Feng Yuan disappeared from the spot. Several breaths of time later, Guyu Fang Zheng's soul became as firm as before, and he woke up from his coma. You are awake. The spirit incubating flea fluttered towards his eyes that Jiyu Fang Zheng was dazed. Master, where are we? Of course we're in Immortal Crane Sect, foolish disciple. Lord Sky Crane laughed heartily. Why am I here? Guyu Fang Zheng was still in confusion, mumbling. Suddenly, he shivered, a terrified expression appearing on his face. He thought of that blood pool, the terrifying memory of blood vines growing over his body when he looked into Hu immortal blessed land. Guyu Fang Zheng screamed and subconsciously leaped back. The back of his head struck the firm stone wall. His raised head lowered down as he fell unconscious. Lord Sky Crane. 3 days later, Immortal Crane Sect officially announced the news of Guyu Fang Zheng waking up, that Jiyu Fang Zheng appeared in front of the disciples again, outrageously having rank 5 cultivation. In the morning class, Immortal Crane Sect's leader publicly announced Guyu Fang Zheng as an elder of Immortal Crane Sect. For a while, the whole sect was in shock. The former rivals of Fang Zheng, like Sun Yuan Hua and others, were dumbstruck. Disciples and elite disciples were in a clamor, and elders also discussed this with each other to assist in capturing Hu immortal blessed land. Immortal Crane Sect's Gu immortals forcibly raised Fang Zheng's cultivation to rank 5. The identity of a disciple was no longer suitable for Fang Zheng. Fang Zheng was just adapting to his new status, and was at a loss on what to do. When he walked around the sect, every disciple he met would bow to him in greeting. Among them were many elite disciples older than him. Sometimes he would see his past rivals like Sun Yuan Hua. They would also pay respects to him. Many beautiful female disciples frequently flocked around Fang Zheng. Some looked at him with watery eyes, while some sweetly called him Elder Fang Zheng. Compared to other elders, Fang Yuan was extremely young. It could be said that he was unique. Like stories of legends, he attracted the attention of many female disciples, some even forming crushes on him. Even Fang Zheng himself forgot his identity sometimes when he saw other elders, and would bow to these elders like a disciple. And each time this happened, the situation would turn awkward. Fortunately, Fang Zheng had Lord Sky Crane with him. Immortal Crane sect's leader also occasionally called him over to ask about his well-being and if he was facing any problems, making him feel overwhelmed from the attention and favor. What made Guyu Fang Zheng even more happy was that the sect's benefits to elders were tens of times greater than the treatment received by disciples. Lord Sky Crane could faintly see the intention behind this. Previously, the sect's higher-ups intentionally sacrificed Fang Zheng, using his life to increase the possibility of capturing who immortal blessed land. Right now, they were showering him with status and perks to restore his loyalty to the sect. In the end, Fang Zheng was not Fang Yuan. He was too young and had scant life experience, not having even the slightest sensation of this intention. In fact, he had no complaints towards Immortal Crane sect, and after becoming an elder, he had even more of a sense of belonging to Immortal Crane sect. As for the terrifying memory of looking into who immortal blessed land, he was subconsciously evading it, not wanting to recall it. It was only that sometimes, deep into nights, he would dream of the scene in the blood pool, recall the pain and suffering, and wake up with his body filled with cold sweat. Chapter 828. 5 Virtues Mountain, 5 Virtues Sect. On this day, Fang Zheng was returning after listening to another elder's public lecture, when he was obstructed by a disciple called Shi Hong. Elder Fang Zheng. Shi Hong bowed in greeting. Fang Zheng returned the greeting, but felt somewhat awkward inwardly. This elite disciple, Shi Hong, was older than Fang Zheng, and had originally been a senior disciple several generations above Fang Zheng. I would like to receive guidance from Elder Fang Zheng. One of the 4 entry tasks for the current Refinement Path Convention pertains to refining Earth Treasury Flower Goo. The third last step of refining this goo requires the use of upstream grass, mashed with Zen Lion's mane, supplemented by the goo refinement method. But this disciple has always failed in this step. I would like to know what the correct goo refinement method for this is. This? Fang Zheng was stupefied and hesitated. His main cultivation path was enslavement path, and his battle strength when controlling cranes were at an outstanding level among mortal goo masters. But he had entirely no understanding of refinement path. Fortunately, he had the spirit incubating flea, from which Lord Sky Crane transmitted the answer. Fang Zheng replied. This goo refinement technique is called one after another. Its purpose is to entwine every stalk of the upstream grass with every strand of the Zen Lion's mane. To refine Earth Treasury Flower Goo, you must weave together 100 stalks and strands within 30 breaths of time. If you go beyond this time, the fire from the goo refinement will burn these stalks and strands to ashes. Thus, if you are not familiar with this method, you will easily fail in this refinement. Fang Zheng repeated the words of Lord Sky Crane, and the more he spoke, the calmer he became. After explaining this, he then went to explain on how to practice the one after another goo refinement technique. Shi Hong's expression slightly changed, showing astonishment before hurriedly bowing in thanks. Many thanks for Elder Fang Zheng's guidance. I have learned a lot. Do you still have anything you don't understand? Fang Zheng smiled, getting addicted to this feeling of teaching. There is no more, no more. This disciple shall take his leave. Shi Hong bowed and left. After the two parted ways, Fang Zheng walked for a while before suddenly starting to slow down. He frowned and came to a realization. This Shi Hong did not come to truly ask for advice. It feels like the other way around, like he was intentionally trying to create difficulties for me. You noticed it? Good, good. Lord Sky Crane smiled. Fang Zheng inwardly shouted, Master, you already knew. Nonsense, your background is extremely easy to probe. Your age is also openly on display. Everyone knows you don't cultivate refinement path. Shi Hong, however, intentionally asked such a question. What could it be if not about trying to give you trouble? Lord Sky Crane paused here, before asking Fang Zheng. Do you know why he was trying to create difficulties for you? Why? Fang Zheng did not understand. Lord Sky Crane smiled brightly as he explained the reason. Because Shi Hong likes a female disciple called EU. And this EU is Elder Yin Tang's daughter. Elder Yin Tang is weak. He is sidelined in a mortal crane sect and has had difficulties. He plans to betroth his daughter to you to form a connection, an alliance of benefits with you, the youngest elder in the history of a mortal crane sect. Otherwise, why would he repeatedly invite you for drinking? Moreover, intentionally arrange his daughter to sit together with you every time. Ah, Fang Zheng exclaimed as he realized only at this point. He could not help but recall the beautiful appearance of Yu sitting beside him and warmly serving him dishes. Also how she frequently proposed a toast to Fang Zheng, and how after few sips of alcohol, her face would flush red, which made her even more attractive. Do you remember now? Ha ha ha, foolish boy. Lord Sky Crane was happy to see Fang Zheng looking dazed. Clearly, the spirit of gossip was commonly held between men and women, the old and young, and even the living and dead. Fang Zheng helplessly sighed, shaking his head and saying in a weary voice, "Schemes and benefits again, I really don't like them. From now on, I shall refuse Elder Yin Tang's invitation. I am also an elder like him anyway. Refusing shouldn't be considered rude. Foolish boy, which organization in this world is not held together by benefits? True feelings of warmth do exist, but they are rare, which makes them even more valuable." Lord Sky Crane sighed with emotions. Don't avoid these, and especially don't refuse Elder Yin Tang's invitation. Even if you don't marry his daughter, there is also no need to ruin the relation with him, because currently, you are even more weak than Elder Yin Tang. Let's not talk about this. Master, just now the Refinement Path Convention was mentioned, and recently everyone, both disciples and elders, are talking about it. What is this Refinement Path Convention? Fang Zheng intentionally changed the topic. It is good that you asked me this, and not others. Otherwise, they would look at you as if you were stupid. I will explain it to you properly. This Refinement Path Convention is not a normal event, but a grand occasion that occurs only every 100 years in Central Continent. That means, without special lifespan prolonging methods, most Gu Masters can only participate once in their lifetimes. Lord Sky Crane explained. Refinement Path Convention, is it an event of Refinement Path Gu Masters? Not exactly. The cultivation of Gu Masters involves three aspects: nurture, use, and refinement. The Refinement Path Convention is not an event where only Refinement Path Gu Masters can participate. As long as you have skill in the Gu refinement aspect, or experience and insight, you can participate. Lord Sky Crane continued. The scale of this grand event is unprecedented. It is the biggest Refinement Path event in the world. Hundreds of thousands of Gu Masters participate in every Refinement Path Convention. They come from all sizes of sects in Central Continent. Even Gu Masters from Eastern Sea, Western Desert, Southern Border, and Northern Plains will appear. Southern Border. A wisp of emotion rose up in Fang Zheng, and he could not help but recall Qing Mao Mountain. He asked, after a moment. Then what are the 4 entry tasks Shi Hong mentioned? Lord Sky Crane spoke everything he knew without reservation. The so-called 4 entry tasks can be said to be qualifications for entering. Any Gu Master, no matter who they are, will refine Gu sometimes in their cultivation journey. The Refinement Path Convention has generous rewards which attract countless Gu Masters to participate. If there were not some tests set up, then there would be way too many incompetent people wanting to try their luck. Thus, the 4 entry tasks were created to distinguish the truly skilled ones and those with Refinement Path attainment. That is to say, one must finish the 4 entry tasks if they want to participate in the Refinement Path Convention. Fang Zheng came to a realization. Lord Sky Crane chuckled. Actually, these 4 entry tasks test the basic skills of Gu refinement. Usually, any Gu Master with certain experience can pass it. Fang Zheng was startled. Master, I can't pass it. No problem, with my guidance. If you train crazily in this period of time, you can also succeed. Truly? My vision will be expanded. Fang Zheng was joyous. Central Continent, 5 Virtues Mountain. Streams of people were busily moving around 5 Virtues Mountain. 5 Virtues Mountain was not tall. It was located in the eastern part of Central Continent and was the base of a middle-sized sect. 5 Virtues Sect. 5 Virtues Sect was considered a large influence within the surroundings. Its background was profound. In the past, the leader of 5 Virtues Sect had been an elder of Heavenly Lotus Sect. Heavenly Lotus sect was one of the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent, a super force. Thus, although Five Virtues sect had not been established for long, it was able to develop smoothly, and the established forces in the surroundings did not dare to sideline or suppress it. Fang Yuan, disguised as a mortal Gu master, was mixed in the stream of people, slowly moving up Five Virtues Mountain. He was covered in a black robe. His physique was average, not tall, not short, not fat, not thin. He covered his face with a mask and his head with a rain hat. The brim of the hat was low, and its shade under the sunlight covered even Fang Yuan's shoulders. But this disguise was not conspicuous in the stream of people. A lot of people's disguises were even more excessive than his. Following the slow stream of people, Fang Yuan arrived in front of Five Virtues sect's entrance. This tall entrance had an archway of 16 huge columns, was about 10 meters wide and taller than a 5-story building. On a plaque atop the entrance were 3 giant words shining with golden light: Five Virtues sect. Under the archway of the entrance were 6 magnificent stone lion statues. Behind the entrance was a wide staircase paved using the finest blue jade stones. It was like a blue river leisurely moving up Five Virtues Mountain. The stairs were under the shade of green and verdant trees beside them. Winds of the mountain occasionally blew over, bringing cool sensations with them. People of all walks of life jostled with each other, pushing and squeezing as they moved up the stairs. Fang Yuan gazed around. In front of him, and towards the left, was a group of female Gu masters with long wavy hair, wearing identical striped dresses, indicating they were probably from the same sect. To his right was a white-clothed young master fanning a folding fan, seated on a leopard, and constantly glancing at that group of female Gu masters. To his left, a pair of master and disciple, clothed in shabby clothes, were in the midst of a discussion. "Master, there are so many people," the disciple said with excitement. The master chuckled. "There are many people, don't wander off. My good disciple, you have great talent in refinement path. This is an opportunity for you to make a meteoric rise. You can pass the 4 entry tests with no difficulty, but you must make sure to get a good position. Only in that way will others change the way they look at you and fight over each other to recruit you." The disciple proudly smiled. "Master, you can rest assured. I will definitely take first place. With the Gu worm reward of first place, I will treat your illness." The master was about to speak, when suddenly an enormous force pushed him from behind. The master was sent rolling on the ground, and the disciple cried out as he hurriedly moved to support his master by the arm. "Step aside! Step aside!" A group of 5 burly men walked over arrogantly. Behind them was an old Gu master, whose gaze shined with a dangerous light. He was sitting comfortably on a chair which was carried by 4 men in front and behind. "The esteemed Lord First Elder of Flying Frost sect is here. Are you still not making way?" The burly men who were clearing a path shouted. "Let's move. People of Flying Frost sect are here. We can't afford to provoke them. Flying Frost sect sent their first elder and are coming with such aggression. They are probably thinking of restoring their face from Five Virtues sect. Right? Last time, Five Virtues sect and Flying Frost sect fought for the mouth of the spring. In the end, Five Virtues sect barely won, while Flying Frost sect suffered severe losses." The crowd discussed amongst themselves, and all made way, not wanting to provoke Flying Frost sect. "Damn it, this is going too far." The disciple supported his master in standing up, and was about to confront them with words, "Don't." The master was an experienced person and quickly stopped the young disciple. "What kind of force is Flying Frost sect?" Ahead of Fang Yuan, a male Gu master asked his companion. After he received the answer, the Gu master snorted disdainfully. "Humph, the whole sect has only 3 rank 5 Gu masters. This is a joke." His companion quickly advised, "This is Central Continent. It is not Eastern Sea. We are outsiders here. It is better to avoid trouble whenever possible." "All right, enough now." The male Gu master thought for a moment before finally giving a snort, and without waiting for the Flying Frost sect's people, he squeezed into the crowd to the right. "What is with you? Are you deaf?" "Make way, I said make way." The burly men shouted furiously behind Fang Yuan and tried to drive him away. Fang Yuan did not turn around, as if he had heard nothing. The burly men were furious, but their expressions changed immediately. "Rank 5 cultivation? Fang Yuan was disguised as a rank 5 Gu master, and right now, he intentionally leaked out a trace of his aura. The burly men were bewildered, but drew back in the end on the bamboo chair. The first elder of Flying Frost sect, and Han, straightened up and stared at Fang Yuan's back. Rank 5 aura. It's real. Such a disguise is not that of a lone cultivator, demonic Gu master. And Han narrowed his eyes and moved his hand, sending the command. Are you still not moving around? The burly men immediately changed direction, moving around Fang Yuan towards the front. Among mortals, rank 5 was in existence at the peak, a leader of a force. Even the sect leader of a mortal crane sect only had rank 5 cultivation. This group of cowardly bullies. The disciple and master converged into the crowd again, the young disciple furiously staring at the receding figures of Flying Frost sect's people. Shortly afterwards, he looked at Fang Yuan with curiosity, probing, and with a slight hint of reverence. The white-clothed young master on the right folded his fan and got off the leopard. The group of female Gu masters ahead intentionally stopped. Many other Gu masters stopped as well, and took the initiative to approach Fang Yuan, trying to leave a good impression. Rank 5 Gu master. If they could build a relationship with such a character. Beside the stairs were the 5 Virtues sect disciples in charge of maintaining order. They were hurriedly transmitting messages. Send the report. There is a rank 5 Gu master. Facing these people, Fang Yuan only said one word, scram. His tone was calm, but his voice carried coldness and ruthlessness. The crowd changed expressions, a chill emerging from the bottom of their hearts. Why would they still dare to trouble Fang Yuan? The young disciple also retracted his gaze in a hurry. Fang Yuan restrained his aura again. In a range of 3 steps around him, there was no one else. Chapter 829. First Round of Gu Refinement. As one walked along the path on the mountain, they would arrive at a point partway up it. There was a huge platform here. On the mountain wall, there were the huge words of Disciple Selection Stage engraved. Every year, the aptitude of the disciples who had just entered the sect would be tested, and the elders would choose their disciples here. But here, the place had been modified roughly. There was a simple Gu formation on the ground. It separated the locations into small areas, and on each of them, there was a number. Once in a while, the people ahead would move forward by a bit. At the sides of the path, 5 Virtues sect disciples were passing out tokens with numbers on them. Fang Yuan took his token. The number on it was 63. Walking into the disciple selection stage, after finding the spot numbered 63, he sat down on the ground. A while later, when people had finished sitting in the square, an elder of 5 Virtues sect declared, "This refinement path convention has 4 entry tasks. The test begins now." At the next moment, the hundreds of Gu masters on the disciple selection stage started showing off their skills. Some of their hands were burning with flames. This was a fire refinement method. Some breathed out smoke. It was a smoke refinement method. Some released several ice snakes. The snakes worked together and breathed out cold air. This was an ice refinement method. And in Fang Yuan's hands, dozens of starlight specks were dancing. They were like blue fireflies, flying around him. In accordance with the sequence, Fang Yuan placed the Gu refinement materials in, one by one. 15 minutes later, he finished all of the tasks and stood up. Such quick speed. The 5 Virtues sect elder in charge of the event knew about Fang Yuan's rank 5 Gu master identity. He had been paying close attention. Even so, when Fang Yuan stood up, this elder showed shock on his face. Fang Yuan's speed was simply too fast. He made no mistakes at all. His technique was extremely skillful and experienced. What? Someone already completed it. Fang Yuan's movements attracted the attentions of many Gu masters who were refining Gu. It is that mysterious rank 5 Gu master. The old master stood outside the stage. Seeing Fang Yuan, his pupils shrunk as he looked at his disciple in worry. He prayed inwardly. Good disciple, please do not get distracted from this and lose your focus. Thankfully, his disciple had been concentrating on refining Gu. He was focused and did not notice the commotion around Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan walked onto the highest platform. As the elder from 5 Virtues sect left his seat and inspected Fang Yuan's 4 Gu worms. No negative conditions. The Gu worms look like they are well fed and in good shape. The 5 Virtues sect elder was secretly shocked. After inspecting them, He cupped his fists at Fang Yuan, saying warmly, "Lord, please come this way into the mountain." Fang Yuan nodded, slowly walking and leaving the disciple selection stage. No way. Is this possible? Someone actually got through using less than 1/3 of the time. Such high refinement path attainment. The people outside were talking among themselves. Among the Gu masters who were refining Gu, some were so shocked that their minds wavered, causing their Gu refinement to fail. Fang Yuan was here to join the refinement path convention. He did not need to hide his skill. He was a Gu immortal. After all, he did not need to conceal his ability. He walked up the mountain, and after a while, an elder from Five Virtues sect welcomed him. "Sir, please hold on." The elder was about to speak, but Fang Yuan waved his hand, interrupting him. "I know your intention. I have no interest. Just this mere Five Virtues sect cannot accommodate me." The elder was stunned before rage flashed on his face. He came here with the sect leader's orders to try and recruit Fang Yuan, to invite him to be an external elder in the sect that in truth. Five Virtues sect became one of the signing up locations for the Refinement Path Convention in order to recruit some talents. With Fang Yuan's rank 5 cultivation level, Five Virtues sect was paying great attention to him. With the Refinement Path attainment that he displayed, even the Five Virtues sect leader was shocked. How could he let such a talented person go? Thus, he ordered this elder to come and negotiate. But before this elder even spoke about his intentions, Fang Yuan rejected him. Being mercilessly rejected like this made the elder embarrassed. "What else do you want?" Fang Yuan looked at him coldly. The elder's face turned purple. He snorted coldly. "Sir, you actually are looking down on our Five Virtues sect. Aren't you being too arrogant? You want to duel me?" Fang Yuan's voice was cold. The elder's anger subsided. He looked at Fang Yuan deeply. Good, good, good. Sir, you think highly of yourself. I am sure you can obtain a good position in the Refinement Path Convention. My Five Virtues sect will be waiting to watch it." Saying so, he waved his sleeves and left. Fang Yuan felt indifferent. He continued moving forward. He came to a cliff and arrived at the Wood Virtue Hall. This hall was hidden in the woods. It was green and mixed in with the grass and trees in the surroundings. Fang Yuan walked into the hall. There were many tables and chairs inside. Elite disciples of Five Virtues sect were managing the place. Seeing Fang Yuan's arrival, a disciple went up. "Senior, may I ask for your name, sect, and main Gu master cultivation path?" Fang Yuan replied, "My name is Fang Yuan. My sect will be kept as a secret. My main path will be kept as a secret." "Oh, okay. Senior, please pay 100 primeval stones as the sign-up fee. This fee will be used in..." Before the disciple finished his words, Fang Yuan tossed him the primeval stones that he had prepared. The disciple caught it flurriedly, before saying politely, "Please wait a moment." A short while later, Fang Yuan obtained a token. On the token, the words Fang Yuan were written. At the back, there was a line of words, "Sect hidden, path hidden, signed up at Five Virtues sect." At the end, there was the time of signing up. "Senior, please take good care of this token. If you lose it, you should get a replacement as soon as possible. Otherwise, you will not be able to join the Refinement Path Convention. Please continue on your way up the mountain. The Fire Virtue Hall has the first round of the refinement competition. Only after Senior passes this round can you join the second round." The disciple explained patiently. Fang Yuan took the token and left the Wood Virtue Hall. By now, the sign-up process was over. Central Continent's Refinement Path Convention was created by the 10 great ancient sects, but secretly, Heavenly Court was supporting it. The Refinement Path Convention was of a huge scale. There were hundreds of sign-up locations all over Central Continent. Most of them were sects similar to Five Virtues sect, having abundant strength and being closely linked to the 10 great ancient sects, or simply one of their representatives. Fang Yuan wanted to join the Refinement Path Convention. He had to sign up at one of these locations. By refining Gu on the spot and completing the 4 tasks, he would have the qualifications to sign up and receive the token. Because there were many demonic path Gu masters signing up for the Refinement Path Convention, and even Gu masters from the other 4 regions, the details for signing up were very flexible. Names could be made up, sects and paths did not need to be stated. The only important thing was the token itself. There was also a group of special Gu masters. These people were either in sects or they themselves had obtained a good position in the previous refinement path convention. Thus, they could join the refinement path convention automatically. For example, Hong Yi was such a case that he was in Universal Life Academy, which had obtained a placing near the end of the list 100 years ago in the refinement path convention. This gave them 3 spots to join the refinement path convention automatically. What was worth noting was that this treatment was only for Central Continent Gu Masters, as well as Central Continent sections. After all, this refinement path convention was held by the 10 great ancient sects of Central Continent. They would favor their own region. Of course, Immortal Crane sect had a larger number of spots, but Fang Yuan was only in a subsidiary force of Immortal Crane sect. If he really went for it, it would be troublesome. Fang Zheng, however, was different. A portion of the spots that the sects had were distributed to disciples and elite disciples, while the other portion went to elders. Fang Zheng was now an elder of Immortal Crane sect. He could not compete with the disciples for the spot. His refinement path attainment was very low as well. He could not beat other elders. Immortal Crane sect naturally gave the free spots to those with deep foundation in Gu refinement, those Gu masters that could defend Immortal Crane sect's prestige in the refinement path convention. Thus, be it Fang Zheng or Fang Yuan, they had to sign up themselves. Fang Yuan held the token and walked up the mountain, entering the Fire Virtue Hall. This was the first round of the competition in the refinement path convention. If his results were bad, he would not be able to join the second round. Fang Yuan went in and was informed of the Gu refinement details. In 30 minutes, I have to refine the rank 1 water light Gu, at least 100 of them to pass, and enter the second round. Refining 150 would reward me with 5 kilograms of phantom shadow petals. 180 would get me 6 basins of rootless water. 200 would get me 10 pieces of thunder strike wood. 240 is third place. 260 is second place. And 276 is first place. I would get the rank 4 healing Gu worm that is good at relieving heat toxins. Green shine Gu. Fang Yuan thought in his mind. This first round's difficulty was higher than the first 4 entry tasks, but it should not trouble most of the Gu masters, because they only had to refine 100 water light Gu to pass and move on to the second round. The rewards for refining a larger number, though, was quite tempting to these Gu masters. First place would obtain a rank 4 Gu worm, green shine Gu. Rank 4 Gu were often something that only the elder of a large force or the leader of a small force would have. Regarding Fang Yuan, he could buy green shine Gu in Treasure Yellow Heaven. Fang Yuan's status was too high. These rewards had no attraction to him. But what he found interesting was the challenge of these tasks. The materials for Gu refinement are provided beforehand. I can use them for free. They also gave the recipe for water light Gu, and I can follow it casually. But even if I go all out and use the water refinement technique, I can only refine 250 of them. This result is only third place. But here in 5 Virtues sect, the third place position has already been taken. In regards to this, it was first come, first served. Once the conditions for the first 3 positions had been fulfilled, no matter how well someone who came later performed, it was useless to in other words, if Fang Yuan wanted to leave his name on the board, he would have to get first or second. Actually, it is not impossible to get first place. I can add in expensive materials and increase the production of Gu worms. Waterlight Gu is only a rank 1 Gu. If I use rank 2 or rank 3 materials, the production would be higher. But I will have to bear the expenses myself. I can also modify the Gu recipe. With my Wisdom Path inheritance, I can easily modify this Gu recipe without Wisdom Gu's help. But that way, wouldn't I lose the fun of a challenge? Maybe I can try a water fire refinement technique. Since water light Gu is a water path Gu, people usually use water refinement or ice refinement for it. I can do the opposite and use fire refinement. There might be an unexpected result. Chapter 830, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's Inheritance Clues. Chapter 830, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's Inheritance Clues. Fang Yuan had a sudden inspiration. He thought of a great method. The Gu recipe was given, but Gu masters could refine the Gu using their own techniques. For example, to fuse 2 materials, they can use fire to melt them into one, but they could also use water to fuse them together as another method. 2 different methods would be able to achieve the same results. 30 minutes later, Fang Yuan's name was on the first place spot, and he obtained green shine goo. Fang Yuan did not practice this water fire refinement method much, but the difficulty of refining water light goo was too low. Even with his rusty technique, he refined 277. He was one goo above the criteria for first place. Fang Yuan's exemplary performance made the sect leader of Five Virtues sect come personally and greet him, apologizing for the poor attitude of that elder. Next, the sect leader vaguely hinted that he wanted to recruit Fang Yuan in a very tactful tone. Fang Yuan rejected him directly, but this sect leader was not upset. He became even more polite as he sent Fang Yuan out, causing everyone around them to look on with much surprise to be able to get first place. This proved that his refinement path attainment was not low. Regardless of his cultivation level, he would be welcomed and recruited by many forces. With just his refinement path attainment, Fang Yuan had the foundation to go anywhere in the mortal world and live in the lap of luxury. Furthermore, didn't Fang Yuan have rank 5 cultivation level? Thus, the leader of Five Virtues sect did not dare to offend Fang Yuan. He was very polite. Evidently, not only did this sect leader have a strong background, he even had good foresight. He could adapt to circumstances and place himself lowly. It was no wonder he could create a force like Five Virtues sect. But he would never guess that Fang Yuan was an immortal. Compared to the endless number of mortals, immortals were too rare. The leader of Five Virtues sect had been overly worried with Fang Yuan's personality. Even if that elder said worse things, Fang Yuan would be unmoved as long as they did not obstruct his path to eternal life. Whether they scolded or praised him, Fang Yuan would not care about it at all. These were all just pointless talk. There was still some time until the second round. Fang Yuan left Five Virtues sect and returned to Hu Immortal Blessed Land. He stayed in Central Continent for 1 day, while 3 days and 2 nights had passed in Hu Immortal Blessed Land. Master, the thing you wanted earlier, I've prepared it already. The moment Fang Yuan returned, little Hu Immortal appeared, bringing him good news with an expression of please praise me written on her face. Very good. Fang Yuan patted little Hu Immortal's head. She was very happy, her eyes closed and relaxed. Fang Yuan told the land spirit to prepare some mortal goo worms. Some were bought from Treasure Yellow Heaven, while the others were refined by the hairy men in the stone nests. Taking these mortal goo, Fang Yuan mobilized a small amount of star will. They flew out of his mind into his immortal aperture. In his immortal aperture, Mo Yao's fake will was imprisoned. Fang Yuan? What will is this? Seeing Fang Yuan's arrival, Mo Yao's fake will felt something amiss. Fang Yuan's star will laughed. He did not speak, but pounced at her. Mo Yao's will could not dodge in time. Bang! The two wills collided, entangling with each other. Mo Yao shouted in shock. She wanted to break free. She tried retreating. Where are you going? Fang Yuan sneered. At his direction, several goo worms flew out, forming a mortal killer move as they froze Mo Yao's fake will in her place. Fang Yuan, you have to think it through. Ordinary wisdom path methods cannot control me. If you force me to my limits, both of us will suffer. Mo Yao's fake will was immobilized, but she could still speak while under the attack of Fang Yuan's star will. Not only that, Mo Yao's fake will was escaping like liquid water. She got the edge over Fang Yuan's star will as she tried to form into a human shape again. One could see that in this battle of wills, Mo Yao's will had the advantage. Her experience far surpassed Fang Yuan's. But Fang Yuan was not anxious upon seeing this. He willed, and some more goo worms flew out and formed a mortal killer move. This killer move turned into a 5-edged diamond. It attacked and scattered Mo Yao's fake will. Fang Yuan's star will counterattacked. Mo Yao's fake will did not speak. She engaged in battle and tried to defend herself. But at this time, Fang Yuan's third killer move was used. It formed into a starlight spiral as it hit Mo Yao's fake. Mo Yao's fake will had lost control of the situation. She had no choice but to fight with Fang Yuan's star will inside the starlight spiral. As they merged, the two wills interacted rapidly. Mo Yao's fake will had countless memory fragments. Fang Yuan's star will learned about them now. At the same time, the memories in Fang Yuan's star will were read by Mo Yao's fake will. Amidst their interaction, Mo Yao screamed, Fang Yuan, you are too foolish. You are too arrogant. In that case, so be it. Saying this, Mo Yao's fake will shrunk rapidly. She was trying to suicide and destroy herself. Fang Yuan chuckled. He had predicted this. He willed, and a starlight pillar descended from the sky. Onto the starlight spiraled, in the spiral. Mo Yao's fake will tried to suicide as the fake will shrunk. But under the starlight's radiance, fake will was continuously produced. In fact, a portion of Fang Yuan's star will was converting into fake will, replenishing her. This forced Mo Yao's fake will to be at a certain size. She could not suicide even if she wanted to. Mo Yao, you are too naive. If you had accepted your fate and suicided earlier, I would have no way of stopping you at all. But now, you will die if I want you to, and if I want you to live, you have no way of dying. Be obedient and tell me everything that you know. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Mo Yao's fake will was in despair. Fang Yuan had obtained a method to suppress her so quickly. This was out of her expectations. By now, Mo Yao's fake will knew that she would have no value to him soon. She knew that she could not escape her fate. Just as Fang Yuan had said, if she had suicided earlier, Fang Yuan would not obtain anything. But all living beings in this world had their survival instincts. Anyone would want to live, as long as there was hope. Even Mo Yao's will did not want to suicide. A moment later, the battle ended in the immortal aperture. Fang Yuan's star will returned with many benefits. The remainder of Mo Yao's will had lost her fighting spirit. She could not even form into a human shape. Fang Yuan had many arrangements and replenished her fake will, so that he could search her will again. The vigilant Fang Yuan also left behind many mortal goo worms to immobilize Mo Yao's will, so that she could not suicide. Fang Yuan's star will, which was fighting with Mo Yao, had less than 30% of its original mass after coming out. 70% was expended earlier. Fang Yuan's star will flew into the sky, leaving the immortal aperture and flying up into Fang Yuan's mind. Fang Yuan shut his eyes, checking the details in the star will. Searching souls and searching wills were different. Searching souls was directly searching the soul, reading everything in their memories. Searching wills was using one's own will to forcefully interact with another will. In this process, one had to use many methods to force the other party to comply. Those who were not skilled at dealing with wills would have no gains in the end. Against different wills, the methods required were different. Thankfully, Dongfang Changfan's wisdom path inheritance was very complete. After Fang Yuan studied it, Mo Yao's will, which he had difficulty dealing with earlier, was meat on the chopping board. Each time he searched a will, it needed to recuperate for a while. After all, wills were more fragile than souls. What was worth mentioning was, there was less capacity for storing memories in wills than in souls. Most of the memories were fragments. But what Fang Yuan wanted the most were Red Lotus, Demon Venerable's inheritance clues. In this last search, Fang Yuan reached his goal, Red Lotus Demon Venerable, Time Path Inheritance. A while later, Fang Yuan opened his eyes, mumbling, Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance was set in the river of time. Mo Yao did not know what the treasure in the inheritance was. She only knew that to inherit this unrivaled Demon Venerable inheritance, the first condition was to have Spring-Autumn Cicada. Not only this, the Gu Immortal had to self-detonate and use Spring-Autumn Cicada to carry their will into the River of Time. In the River of Time, they had to search for a Stone Lotus Island. Only after they reach a Stone Lotus Island would they see the will of Red Lotus left there. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance. It is truly hard to obtain. Fang Yuan sighed. This was too difficult. The rank 6 Spring-Autumn Cicada, once activated, would self-detonate the Gu Master with a certain chance of success. To find Red Lotus will, one had to risk the chance of suicide. Even if the Gu Master successfully enters the River of Time, where would they go to find a Stone Lotus Island? Fang Yuan had entered the River of Time before. Even though he had 3 precious experiences, he did not find any Stone Lotus Islands in other words. Not only did the Gu Master need to self-detonate and use Spring-Autumn Cicada to carry their will into the River of Time, they had to manipulate Spring-Autumn Cicada and swim in the river, searching for some Stone Lotus Island. Fang Yuan could not do that. He currently was using Spring-Autumn Cicada only as a passenger. He could not control the direction or route. To control Spring-Autumn Cicada and reach this level, I need other methods for assistance. But I don't have any. These methods would be time path methods. In this aspect, Fang Yuan was at a loss. He had nearly no knowledge in it. Currently, if Fang Yuan wanted to obtain Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance, there was a long road to travel. He needed to make ample preparations. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance was in the River of Time. It was extremely dangerous for him to try to obtain it. Fang Yuan could only put Red Lotus Demon Venerable's inheritance aside. For the time being, he was going to stay in Hu Immortal Blessed Land while waiting for the Refinement Path Convention's second round. At the same time, he would use the Light of Wisdom to deduce the Immortal Killer move Vaguely Familiar Face. He had obtained Vaguely Familiar Face in the Northern Plains auction. It was 50% complete. As for what the 3 core Immortal Goo were, the information was not concealed. The problem was that Fang Yuan did not have these 3 core Immortal Goo. They were in another person's possession. Immortal Goo were unique. If Fang Yuan wanted to use the killer move, Vaguely Familiar Face, he would need to modify the move and change the core Immortal Goo to something else. The best situation would be an Immortal Goo he already owned. This was very difficult, because in regards to Transformation Path and Wisdom Path, Fang Yuan's attainment level was not very high.